The door swung open, banging loudly as they hit the walls. I jumped and looked up from my weaving to see my son march across the entryway of Horemheb's house. He looked across and saw me, and with a gleam in his eyes called out, "Follow me, servant, and quickly." I stood and rushed after him. I came up behind him as he marched through the house and called out, "Horemheb, you old fool, come out here at once." Horemheb appeared from one of the offices and folded his arms. "Watch your tongue, Tut." Tut walked straight over to him and pushed him backward into the room again. He motioned for me to enter, and he shut the door behind us. Then he turned and wrapped his arms around me. "Mama, I've been dying to see you again." I wrapped my arms around my son and held him tightly. "My Tut, it has been far too long." Tutankhamun was now 16 years old, and tall and lean like most boys his age. He kept his head shaved, but never bothered to wear a wig or hat. He claimed they slowed him down because they didn't stay on, but they didn't stay on because he raced around like a wild thing. I could see his father in his face. He had similar eyes and gentle smile, but he lacked the deformities. I did see myself in him, too. His nose was mine, and he wasn't as dark-skinned as most Egyptians. He kissed my cheek and turned to face Horemheb while keeping his arm around my shoulder. "I have some wonderful news." Horemheb rested his hands on his hips. He was in his late 30s, but his age didn't seem to have weakened him. He, in fact, looked stronger. His shoulders were broader, his arms and legs thicker, and his eyes firm and steady. "Well, boy, go on. Speak your mind." Tut grinned and squeezed me tighter. "Anka has carried a child into the second half of her pregnancy. It looks like she may finally be able to have a baby. I will have an heir." "Oh, Tut, that's such good news." I turned to him and wrapped my arms around his neck. "I'm happy for you both. Mama, I wish you could come to the palace. I'm certain if everyone were to discover you were alive, they would—" "No, Tut." Horemheb folded his arms. "No one can know. Do you want to put your mother in danger?" "Of course not." Tut frowned. He pulled away from me and looked across to Horemheb. "But she should come and see Anka. She's a good wife. She is gentle and understanding, and I believe she loves me and is loyal to me, like Mama was to my father." Horemheb scowled. "Tut, your mother was an exception, not the rule. She was not born a royal, and so never succumbed to the deceitful ways of—" "Horemheb, you're bothering me." Tut pressed his hands on his hips. "Stop talking." "Tut, have some respect," I said. He looked down at me and kissed my head. "Mama, I love you." Couldn't help smiling proudly up at him. He walked over and looked Horemheb in the eyes as he spoke. "So, how is the family, Mama? How are Hepsadi, Itani, Rachel, and the boys? Oh, and of course, how is dear old Malachi?" He rested his hand on Horemheb's shoulder and smirked at him. "Tut," I said, walking toward him and pulling his hand away as Horemheb scowled across at him. "The family is doing well. They would very much like to see you again, especially the boys. They miss their older brother." He turned to me as he rested his hands on his hips and stuck his chest out to mimic Horemheb. "It's been quite a while, hasn't it? I have been very busy up at the palace. There have been some problems with the Hittites, so much so I had to send the Hittite princess back because she threatened to assassinate me.